Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sinead Says podcast. Hope you're all doing very well. I am in the comfort of my own room these days. You've just seen me, if you're watching on YouTube every week, I just literally sit in my bed and I just had to put this cover over it today because the sheets are getting washed. So in case you're wondering. But yeah, we are on, I don't know why I always do that and then never remember anyway. So this week we're going to do our 3 sections. We're going to remember to do all 3 sections. We did all 3 sections. We've been doing it. We've been doing this system. Let me know how you like it. But before we go into it, I want you to, if you can, subscribe to the podcast and review it. It really helps it grow. And, you know, this podcast is, you know, self-run. I run it myself, me and Kyle. Shout out to Kyle. And any support like a review or subscribe does really well for us. So yeah, this week we're going to talk about our higher selves. We're going to have a quote and we are going to go into the you say section. And the reason why we're going to talk about our higher selves is because I feel like I've been reaching into my higher self. But some people think when they're within their lower self that they beat themselves up, but also there's this balance. But anyway, we're going to get into it. But before we get into it, I just wanted to mention our sponsor, which is BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy and counseling platform. I personally have been using them the past 2 years since they have been sponsoring the podcast, and my team use them. A few of my friends use them, and you always send me like really good reviews. And I even get some messages from girls just being like, "Thank you so much for just normalizing therapy," and that is exactly what I want to do. Just normalize it, like, because back in, you know, when I was younger, if anyone went to therapy, it was so taboo. And, you know, there's so many crazy things that happen in life and like we have no tools to deal with it most of the time. And that is why like therapy can be so beneficial, because when you're going through something, you don't have to do it alone. You can have support, you can have tools. And instead of it, you know, imprinting on you so deeply, you have someone there for support. You have someone there committed to your well-being. So if you want to try therapy, I highly recommend BetterHelp. It is so affordable. It is so accessible on the app, and you can use betterhelp.com/Sinead for 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead. All right. So the first section is what I learned this week, or let's learn. So the let's learn section. So the reason why I wanted to talk about our higher and lower selves this week is because I feel really in my higher self. I feel like I'm in control of my inner authority. So what we're going to talk about today is, what is inner authority? How can we navigate it to get to our higher selves? And how can we use this to navigate who we are and find ourselves, etc., etc. So first of all, we got to look at the higher, right? So when we look at higher self, lower self, right, we have this inner authority within us. We have both our higher self and our lower self. And to understand both, to understand higher self, we need to understand lower self. And you must understand that there is a balance. It's not just you're in your higher self all the time. There is a balance, but we want to sway and tip over to our higher self. And that's sort of where I'd be. Well, you know, like, I'm not saying like I am in my higher self. I'm saying that I've been doing good habits. I have been meditating, reading, going to the gym, and haven't really been drinking that much, like a glass of wine, but I haven't, like, I think it's because it's winter here, guys. Like, I'm fully hibernating as well. You know what I mean? I feel like winter, I have been chasing the sun for years, and I've like, why have I not been in a winter? I have, but like, I'm always chasing the sun, I'm always wanting heat, but like, we need winter. I needed it to be dark. I need it to be dark so I can be like in my apartment. I mean, like, no, I don't want to do anything else. Like, I kind of love when it's dark at like 5 o'clock, because people are like, they can't ask me to go anywhere because I'm chilling. I am chilling. And then in summer, as soon as it gets bright again, I want to be out. I want to be going for sunrises, and no, not sunrises, because I go for sunrises now, but I go for sunset walks. We go to the beach, we go to the barbecue, we are doing things with friends because it's light outside, and I just feel like more energized, and the sun is just like, but I think I've never noticed how much I've needed this winter. Like, you know, cozy nights in and watching, chilling TV, movies, lighting my candles. Like, that is my vibe. So don't underestimate the power of winter, because I know some of you guys are coming into your winter now. So I've just been living for it anyway. So I feel like as well, like, that's playing a part in me not really going out as much, because, you know, there's no festivals or anything like that. Like, so we've just been kind of having a few glasses of wine, we've been on a few trips, but nothing like, you know, like when the summer, like it's heavy drink and such. So yeah, we're going to talk about inner authority, but first of all, we need to understand lower self and higher self. So the lower self, you may recognize this because you'll understand when you're in your lower self. So we give into quick pleasures, distractions, phone, TikTok, right? Think you're procrastinating on everything you need to be doing. Quick pleasures, all right? Drinking, binging, all these things are quick pleasures because you need that dopamine quick. And so phone, drinking, binging. So when you're in your lower self, we take everything personally. We are so sensitive. You may notice that if you're feeling negative or in your lower self, if someone's like, say your friend's going to do something and you just take it really personally, because taking things very personally like that is, you know, being in your lower self, like snappy, just being super sensitive, you know, because you're not vibrating higher yourself. So then you're looking around you and then, you know, it's kind of like dripping down to, you know, your everyday life. So we're very sensitive and we're very unmotivated. And yeah, your higher self is, you know, whenever you go to the gym, whenever you finish the task, whenever you do, thing is, it's not quick pleasures. Meditating, you know, that's hard. No one wants to do that, but it's so good. It's so beneficial. Exercising. No one ever wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. You know, it's harder. You know, look, in your higher self, these things take a little bit longer, but they have this delayed gratification. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so much more pleasurable to know that you put effort into something, and these quick pleasures are not as the feeling's not as good. Do you know what I mean? Although, like, you know, sometimes going on your phone feels good, you know, but then you need more. It's like, it's just, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, your higher self is just that person who gets a task done, that person who reads a book, that person who meditates and just does the hard thing. So yeah, just makes you feel that joy. But how do we switch from one to the other, and how can we know more? First of all, we have to realize that the world was made from people living in their higher selves. So you think about things like all the skyscrapers, the airplanes, all the new technology. This is people saying no to quick pleasures and saying yes to higher self and going towards their higher self. So the world needs higher selves, all right? And we're all sort of put here to have our own individual purpose, and we've got our own individual talents and creativity. And, you know, I think like we're here to use them, and yeah, we should be looking for them through our thing. But anyway, okay, so to serve our higher self and higher purpose, it's mostly, you know, down to looking out for your uniqueness and understanding what truly brings you joy. And usually these things are your higher self, and you want to gravitate towards them, even though they are that little bit harder. And I always think like, when do you feel like low and depressed? All right. When do you feel at your lowest? And it's usually because we are not following the higher self. We're not following the things that we love. We're not doing the discipline and hard things. We're not falling into that higher self. We're falling into our lower self. So the awareness of understanding what's lower and understanding what's higher, like, we could just sit in our lower self, but we will have these bouts of anxiety and bouts of anxiety. So these bouts of, like I said this in this, I'm writing down my notes here, but yeah, moments of depression are a call to listen again to your inner authority. So when you feel low, when you feel anxious, we did this last week as well, and we were talking about loneliness. When you feel something, it is a call. And it is a call to take charge of your inner authority. And remember, your inner authority is like your balance between your higher self and your lower self. And guys, there is a balance. Please remember this. We are sometimes in our lower self. Like, you know, at the weekends, our higher self, you know, sometimes falls off the wagon, but it's a balance. We're not always in our higher self. Sometimes we go to our lower self, and that's fine. Everyone has this balance, but it is finding those moments of higher self and spending more time with that person. The more you spend time with your higher self, the more you become like almost addicted to it. So an example, like today I got a PB in the gym. I, you know, hip thrusted and did squats, and I PB'd like the most I've ever did this week. Now I've been training in the gym for like, you know, I've kind of been on and off like throughout my journey of endometriosis and blah, blah, but I've been back just doing like weight training, and it's really working for me in terms of like how I feel, and like my friends do it. And it's just really, and I'm just in a really good routine. Now, I've been working out for weeks, if not months. And like, I haven't reached that, but like, you know, I had to work. And I had to, first of all, fight against lower self, quick pleasures, staying in bed, right? So lower self, staying in bed, taking a quick pleasure of like turning over, snooze, blah, 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 right? Then but I've said no to that, right? That's hard, right? I know I have to be my higher self. I have to get up. I have to go to the gym. And when I go to the gym, I don't honestly, like when you're going there, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go. But when you go there, your higher self is activated, all right? And as soon as you come out of that gym, you have spent time with your higher self. It feels good, right? And then when that alarm goes the next day, you're so much more inclined to spend time with your higher self than your lower self, because you remember the feeling of coming out of that gym and feeling good. I remember the feeling today of lifting the heaviest I've ever lifted. Like, it was so exciting. It's actually made me want to go back and work out again today, but obviously I didn't do that. That's overtraining, don't do that. But those feelings that when you hang around with your higher self and you put the effort in to get to those wee points of joy, you'll just want to spend more time there. You know what I mean? So it's like meditating, reading a book. Like, I could be reading a full book for like 50 pages and it's really hard. I'm like, oh, I'm not concentrated. But there'll be like one page that will strike me and I'll be like, oh my God, I can't wait to share this in my podcast. I can't wait to tell people about this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all that like working and reading has brought this wee spark of joy, and this wee spark of joy is my higher self. And it's like all these wee feelings become really, really addictive. So the more you spend time with this person, the more addictive it becomes. So it starts off with the gym, and it ends up being like you're walking and you're doing more steps and you're up earlier, and then all these things are just cultivating, and then you're just spending more time with your higher self. So ask yourself today, who are you spending more time with? Are you taking quick pleasures, or are you putting in the hard work to find these wee pieces of joy and happiness? Because you need to just be swaying towards one more than the other, because the world needs higher self people. The whole world needs constant improvement. And that constant improvement comes from people in their higher selves. It doesn't come from people snoozing. It doesn't come from people, taking the easy way out. It comes from people putting in hard work and finding what truly brings them joy. And then that's why you have to find what it is that you like and you enjoy, like in your whatever you're trying to do for your higher self, because those wee moments of, oh my God, I got 160 PD, or oh my God, I read a book that is really like going to really help my listeners. Like, those wee things of joy are what keep you addictive. So you could be trying the gym and that could not be for you. You could be trying something that you really, really don't like. If you're not going to get that wee spark of joy, then try something else. And remember, the world is full of distractions. And that is where we need to bring in focus in order to take control of our inner authority. And when you introspect how you feel and what brings you joy and accomplishment, you're taking control of your own emotions. You're your own leader, and no one needs to tell you what to do in your life or where to go. You are your own inner authority, and balance it out and keep reaching towards your higher self. Now it's time for quote of the week. I have 2 quotes sitting here, but I'm like trying to figure out which one I want. I might have time for the 2. So quote of the week comes from, so when I was doing my training, we were actually doing neuroscience and meditation. So we were reading these, our reading was so intense. I mean, these big, massive books of neuroscience and meditation. And in one of the books, it said this wee statement, and it kind of like made me spark what we were talking about before. It kind of relates. So, and it's about mindfulness in a sense as well. So anytime we're truly mindful of our reactions and their consequences, it can alter the way we will react in the future. Every time we experience a similar situation, our emotional triggers will get weaker and be easier to let go of. We can respond mindfully to the actual situation rather than reacting mindlessly. As we grow less reactive, we are empowered to respond more objectively and consciously. Eventually, those skillful qualities become our new conditioning. So this book is all about meditation and stuff, but it also is like very relating to mindfulness and being introspective of your own thoughts. So when you start introspecting, that is whenever you start becoming aware of your thoughts and becoming aware of your reactions. So some of you, if you've been listening to this podcast a long time, I'm sure you are understanding triggers, and when you're emotionally charged, and when you're more mindful of it, when you're like watching yourself trigger these moments, this is when the change begins. Like when you are introspecting your reactions, then you can start putting a new program in. And this is why meditation stuff is so powerful, because when we meditate, we have that space to even reflect on the times that we reacted in certain ways. So sometimes in meditation, when I've done my meditation, sometimes I'll just do, I call it thinkitation at the very end, just let my mind think and like sometimes reflect on things and how it can change. So you even think about if you've been in an argument with your partner or your friend, right? And like more often than not, when we have an argument, we sort of regret that argument and we kind of come to terms with like, why was I so reactive? Because at the end of the day, like you do make up, but in that moment you can't make up because you're so reactive and you're so angry. But when you become mindful and when you practice mindfulness and when you introspect your own thoughts, you can start to see your reactions and you can start to replay them and also redo them in your mind. So you can be like, okay, I reacted that way. How can I change that? And then when you're so mindful of it, you've literally changed your program. You're changing your program by becoming aware. Awareness is just one of the best things ever. Actually, is the best thing ever. It's like the goal, isn't it? To be completely aware. But then obviously people always say sometimes you can be too aware. And I get that. But so yeah, I love that. That was from the book, The Mind Eliminated. It's kind of about neuroscience and meditation. It's a really intense meditation book. It's like, if you want to know every single minute of every single step of every single thing that ever comes up in meditation, but it's so, so, so detailed. And there's all these like 10 stages of meditation, but it's a big book and it was a lot of reading, but it was so valuable for me as a teacher to learn all that and to learn all the different stages in the meditation. But yeah, it's a good book. And then, oh my God, guys, first of all, before I say this next quote, because this next quote is basically, well, I kind of changed it a little bit, but this quote is from Dermot Kennedy. I just got tickets to see him. No, I'm fucking obsessed with him. Like, not in like a fancy way. Everyone, like, I feel like I just think I fancy him, but it's not about that. It's literally just about how much his music touches me. No, doesn't touch me. No, that sounds creepy. No, the whole thing sounds creepy. No, this needs to stop. But anyway, obviously I got tickets to see him. I just, I don't know how, but I do know how. I got the link and got it the day early. I was all about it. And yeah, so I'm taking a wee quote from him. So he has a song and he says in it, there's beauty in being broken, but I changed it a little bit just because I just wanted to explain it a wee bit better. So the quote is, there is beauty in being broke. And I always say this as well, like, because I've been so broke there was so much beauty in it. Not at the time. Looking back at it now, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But there is beauty in being broke. So I always say, and even there's beauty in being broken. Like when you have a breakdown, it usually is at the verge of a breakthrough. You usually become really aware and you usually don't want to feel like that again. So you strive for better. But anyway, so there's beauty being broke means that I always talk about the time that I was really broke. I was in Australia, I had actual zero. Like I spent my last $20, I think. And then was really, really skinned. And then, when you're in skimp mode, you're in survival mode. And when you know you need to eat, you will find a way. So that's what we did. And then I went to the farm in Australia to do my farm work, and when you do that, you kind of save money because you don't actually do anything. Like there's nothing to do or buy. You know what I mean? You just work, and drink bags again. That's like a box of wine, by the way. And honestly, guys, that stuff sends you to the moon. Like, it is crazy. I can't even describe the drunkenness. Like, I've never been drunk. Like, goon drunk is, I don't know, like it's like being possessed or something. But anyway, it's basically like at home Frosty Jack, or what would you drink when you were home? White Lightning, Frosty Jack. I don't know. I don't know how we got here, but we're here. And so when I was broke, I went there and I saved my first bit of money. Like, no, this is crazy for me. Like, I never had over £1,000 ever in my life. Do you know what I mean? So I had $4,000, which is like £2,000. And at that point, I really wanted to start a business. I wanted to do events and stuff like that. So I hosted my first party, and it would cost me $4,000 to rent the boat and rent all the stuff and get the staff, et cetera, et cetera. And the old me would have never done that. Like, the old me would have never spent every single penny. But because I was already broke before, and maybe like and had my roof over my head and was like in survival mode, I knew that I wanted to take the risk because I was like, fuck it, I've already had nothing. So there's beauty in like being broke in terms of like, sometimes it's like the risk, you're like, I knew I was going to be okay. I didn't need anything apart from the roof over my head and like the friends around me, etc. Like I knew that like I could take that risk because I was just like, what's the harm? Like I can't buy myself some nice shoes or whatever, you know what I mean? But I was like, I'm just going to pay for this right now. So I paid for it. And yeah, that was the last time I ever worked for anyone. You know what I mean? So I feel like me being broke made me take the risk. Whilst the old me would have been like, oh no, I'll wait for another bit of money. I'll wait for another bit of money. And I just was like, here you go. I'll be fine. I'm blessed because I just felt like I could take the risk at that point. And I feel like that's why. Now we're going to do the they say section. Yes. So we're going to do the they say section today. Got loads of lovely comments lately about the podcast. Like it's actually nice to have this structure because sometimes like when I do still want to have guests on. So if you know any guests, please, that you really want on, let me know. I still want to start and do some guests, but I just didn't want to just make it all gas. Like I sometimes it's really hard with the time difference and it was putting a lot of pressure on me. And I sometimes feel like I just love blabbering on anyway. So I actually am hosting a party tonight. Not a party. I'm hosting a little games night at my house today. So that should be super, super fun. And Sinead is running around. I can hear her. She's so like my mom. Like she's running around like everything has to be perfect because obviously people are coming. I'm like, but everything is perfect. It's just like, no. It needs to be more perfect. And I'm like, okay, go for it. And I love it though. She's so funny. She's just running around. She just reminds me of my mom. Remember the time my brother was getting married and she was crazy. I couldn't even be around her. She was nuts. But that's just her. She just likes everything to be perfect. We all have our own things, don't we? Okay, sorry, I'm going on the they say section. I'm just getting really distracted. Okay, I just want to say so last week obviously we talked about connections, loneliness, and the emotion of loneliness, what it meant. And someone said, I usually go into a kind of hibernation whenever I'm feeling down and always thought this was what I needed to re-energize myself after a bad week. Your podcast has made me realize that reaching out to friends instead of cutting off communication might be the better alternative. Just thought I would share this with you. Thank you so much. Oh my God, people are asking about the analysis of the Barbie movie. I don't know if I have an analysis. I feel like I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Went to see it and it was not what I expected. It's actually really, really empowering. And also like, obviously I thought what was going to be like really like woman focused and like woman and men are repressing women, etc. But it was actually like really like, let's work together. Let's be equal men and women, which I loved. I felt so empowered after it. And I just thought it was really, really funny. And I'm trying to think now, is there anything that... Oh yeah, there was one thing that really annoyed me about it. Actually, when they were talking about cellulite, and I know it's obviously a joke, and like obviously it's like the movie, but I'm like even pointing out cellulite as like cellulite, even though like it's a joke, as a younger generation watching that, they don't have the rational skills to understand that. They just don't have the rational skills to think, oh, it's a joke. Like they're thinking, oh my God, cellulite's bad. So I don't know, like, let me know your thoughts on that, because I just thought like, I'm old enough and I'm aware enough now to look at the mainstream media and know that it does influence how I feel about my body and myself. But when I was younger, I just thought my body wasn't good enough. I didn't have the awareness to think, no, society's made me feel like that. So that's the difference. And another thing I'm going to say, we were talking about this on the New Zealand trip as well. Like the people are talking about boob jobs and like, getting stuff done to their body and blah, 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 blah. And we were having like, not a debate, we were having a very good conversation about, because I always try my best not, I'm trying not to, I would try not to change my body, because like I feel like I have young girls watching me and I wouldn't want them to think that their bodies are not okay. Like, because I'm changing mine, does that mean my mind's not okay? And people are like, yeah, but it's an insecurity that if someone says, it's an insecurity that I've had for so long. And they were like, what about, because I have a really bad hairline and I've always been really paranoid about it. And no, I'm not, by the way, I haven't always been paranoid about it, but I'll let you know now what I mean by that. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that is an insecurity. And I feel like sometimes the damage can be done in terms of insecurity. But my hairline is not because my hairline's not good. My hairline's not good, not bad. It is, my hairline is perfect. It's the way I was born. I was born enough. But it's society that's made me feel like that. And yes, it might be too late because I am already imprinted with the insecurity. So for example, like that is something that I would get trolled about. I get trolled about like the shape of my head, and like I actually get messages all the time about my hairline and like whatever. They just call me things, right? Now bearing in mind, before I ever got trolled, before I ever got anything, there's not one time ever that I've ever thought about changing my hairline, about getting a hair transplant, about anything. So the awareness of it, of me, so we could be talking about it and people be like, oh, but like a boob job might make me feel more secure, blah blah, and it's like, I actually think 100% do whatever you do, but please know that your body was always born enough, but like it's society that's making you feel like you need something else. And then that awareness, yes, there's trends and there's more things that are more attractive to the society, etc. But just because society says something doesn't mean that you aren't perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, you aren't amazing the way you are. Like, flaws are man-made. Like, we actually made them because we've, you know what I mean? Like, everyone is nor good nor bad. We are just here. We are beings. We are living. But like, society makes us feel like, and I get it, like we are insecure because people have trends. It's like, do you remember the time everyone used to get their lips done? Like, it was a trend. We were all getting our lips done because it would make us feel insecure, if not because everyone else had these big lips that we were seeing all over Instagram. So it's not that your lips are small. It's society's made you feel like your lips are small. Your lips are perfect. They're perfect for your body. You know what I mean? Please, if you get what I mean, let me know. Just because I was trying to explain this to, like, we were having this conversation. I was like, just because you feel some way doesn't mean that your body's not enough or your body's not good. Your body is. And society's made you feel insecure about it. You know, looking at other people makes you feel insecure about it. And Kyle, oh, I always laugh at Kyle because Kyle's like, I just want a six pack. Kyle, if you're listening to this. And I'm like, Kyle, go look at your Instagram feed. Go look at your Instagram feed. Go look at your For You page. It's just men with hot six packs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, do you know what I mean? That's what we look at, what we consume. And like, and the thing is, can we get rid of it? Probably not. But can we be aware whilst consuming it, that consuming it does affect our confidence? Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I really went deep there for a minute. Sorry. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we were there having that debate and I was like, yeah, I would try my best not to change my body because I feel like I don't want people to think that their bodies are not good. So if I change mine, does that mean I don't want people to think that, even though I am insecure, like in certain ways? And then that's when they were like, well, what about whenever you want to get your hair transplant? I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're actually dead right. Like, I'm insecure about that, but I'm not insecure because my hairline is not good. My hairline is just me, but it's society and trolls that have made me, and I can't unhear what they said. I can't unhear. Sometimes you just can't unhear it. You know what I mean? It's kind of there. So then that's when, like, to make yourself feel better, you want to get those things, and things are trends, like, you know, Botox and lips and all these things are trends, and it's just like, you know what I mean? But sometimes we just got to work at inner as well as outer. So if we worked as hard on the inside as the outside, then, you know, sometimes things would be different. Yeah, but I'd still go get a hair transplant if I could. I try my best. I try to talk myself out of it all the time, and then I talk myself into it, and then I talk myself into it. Anyway, sorry, I'm so sidetracked. Okay, this is a good question someone asked me, right? Because I'm relating hard to this question somebody sent me in, and it's a little bit, okay, I'm just gonna say, hey, just had a question. How do you focus on yourself? I'm in my final year of uni, so starting back in September, and I'm in such a good routine with my fitness, relationship with food, etc. Being at home, and I love not going out every week and weekend. I know when I'm back in uni in September, my housemates love to party. Don't get me wrong, I do too, but I feel like I've got my fill of it, and we'll be going out, and they'll be going out and wanting me to join them. I felt like the last 2 years, I always gave in and ended up going out so much, and I just really want to change this year. Okay, so I can relate to this so much because personally, like, I was such a people pleaser, and also in university, my validation was from going out. Like, I was the girl that always went out. Everyone was like, you're out again. And like, I would put these like wee photos up on Instagram, or not Instagram, Facebook, you know, like from your BBM, your, what do you call those, Blackberries? Like, I would always put photos up, and I was like, oh my God, you're so crazy. I thrived in that. That was my like sense of validation. That was like, you know, I was the party girl. Like, this is where I got my validation one. And the reason why that I went out all the time was not because I wanted to go out all the time. as if I wanted to go out all the time. It's exhausting to do your makeup all the time. But I just loved the validation because I didn't know how to validate myself. And it sounds like this person here has been validating themselves with their relationship with food, with their fitness, with their routine, has been validating themselves all summer. And now she's going back to uni. I feel like this person has, if you're listening, like you seem so strong, and you have to remember that sometimes when you go out and you don't want to go out, that's an aspect of people pleasing, and people pleasing comes from a lack of self-love, because when you lack self-love, you need somebody else to love you and like you in order to love yourself. And that was one of the most important things I got from a book, The Joy of Being Selfish. So it's basically a book about boundaries. That's a great book for you to read. It's The Joy of Being Selfish. Great book. And basically when I was reading that, was like, people pleasing is a sign of, is it like a lack of self-love, because you need someone else to validate you in order to feel good. But this person seems like they've been doing really well and they're validating themselves. So just please remember that you like yourself. And when you like yourself, you don't need anyone else to validate you. So if you don't want to go out, you put in some boundaries, girl. And trust me, when you're putting in boundaries and then they work, it's so good. But obviously sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm going to put it in a boundary, blah, blah, blah. But it's really hard to put in a boundary at the beginning, and you feel like you're being sort of rude. You feel like you're being a bit of a killjoy. But remember who you are, and stand for yourself and what you like and what you love. You love your routine. It brings you joy. It puts you in your higher self. This other stuff, going out all the time, feeling like shit, eating shit, that brings you back down. So remember what you love. Remember that you love yourself. You've been focused. You can do this. You've been focusing on yourself. You do not need their appraisal, you know what I mean? You don't need that, because you can validate yourself. And also there are so many other people out there that will be friends with you that you don't have to go out with. Like, I have friends that go out, and I also have friends that don't go out. So when I'm in the mood to go out, I go see my friends that want to go out. And then it's nice to have that switch and to like put yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe go to yoga classes, meditation classes. You'll find people like that there. Sometimes you just bark up the wrong tree of like telling your friends to do these things with you. Whenever you can have both. You can have friends that go out and go out with them when you need and speak to them. And you can also have friends that are sober. So I feel like you can do this. I'm very proud of you. And you'll be happy to know that I lost that people pleasing tendency to. I lost that people pleasing because I was people pleasing with the party girl, and then I kind of moved on to paying for everyone's everything whenever and then I thought that I was over my people pleasing, and then I just realized that I transferred it. But then I am still a people pleasing in recovery. So but I definitely feel like I'm a lot better myself as well. Like when you know yourself, you know exactly what you like, what brings you joy, what puts in your lower self, what's in your higher self, then you will totally be fine. You have got this. So I'm going to leave it there for today. So hopefully you've got something from this podcast, and I have a party to get to. Have a great day.